Hello, everybody. This is episode number 69 of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. It is March 18th. Asif and I are doing this live. Anyways, live late at night on Sunday night. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv. That's that place you can go and you can learn from some of the biggest names and the names you've never heard of. But the guys who are forging the way in the mobile industry, they're building stuff that you don't even know you need, but you will at some point. Check it out at Untethered.tv. With me, as always, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Take it away, Mr. Asif Khan.
Yeah, Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association, the place you come to stay on top of what's going on in the geolocal, hyperlocal, something local world. And there's always something going on. It's always a busy week, and we got lots to cover this week as usual. And so, yeah, why don't we jump right into it, Rob?
Great idea, Asif. Great idea. So, we always a little bit of preamble. Let's talk a little bit. Are you in the city? What's going on? What's the LBMA up to? It's been a while since we've done a check-in with the LBMA. Come on.
LBMA is busy. Lots of events going on. We have an event happening this week in Amsterdam on mobile payments, mobile wallet, so PayPal and a bunch of other players involved with that. I won't be there. I'm in Toronto this week, but best of luck to the folks over at the LBMA over there, and I know we'll have a great event. I'm actually staying in town this week because it's Canadian Music Week, and so there's a digital media summit as part of that, and so I get to go and talk about how to apply all this geolocal thinking to music and bands and artists, and how to engage people, wherever they are with content that's great content that's coming out of Canadian music world. So, yeah, it should be fun.
Well, I should also, bring reference to the fact that the opening of this show that you just heard is a Canadian band called Blue Rodeo, and it's 9 seconds of a Blue Rodeo song.
Yes,
yeah, it seemed apropos. It's Canadian Music Week, so yay Canada, yay music. I just wanted to give an update as well to this thing that I'm been working on, which is this Untethered Talks. That's what it's called, Untethered Talks. It looks like it's going to be towards the end of June 25th and 26th, I do believe, in Toronto at the Glen Gold Studio. And then a great reception at the Steam Whistle Pub. I don't know if you've ever been there, Steve, for that. Have you been to a Steam Whistle Pub event before?
I have. It's quite a place. A lot of history there. Great facility for an event. So yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. But we're just going to finalize this weekend. By midweek, we should have a date. Everything's set, so we're pretty excited about that. Can't wait. Untethered Talks. Can't wait. If you're interested, just reach out, untethered@gmail.com, and I'll fill you in on a few of the details if you're at all interested. Shall we jump into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so it's a busy week as usual. We're going to save, one of the biggest stories to the last story of the week. Obviously, if you're in the location-based marketing world, but we've got something launched. Everplaces in Denmark. We've got a little Amex and Twitter marriage. We've got some PayPal competition for Square. We've also got Pulse, which I use religiously, pretty much every day. The Pulse app doing local news and local. We'll come in, and then of course we're going to talk Oink. We're going to talk the Oink and Milk and Kevin Rose and Google and all that kind of stuff. We got some great product of the week in WirelessWerx. We got a couple of funding deals. We got an acquisition. We got a great resource about Siri and what it means to e-commerce. I can't believe that we haven't started this show already. So let's jump into it, Asif.
Let's do it.
All right. So the first story, Everplaces. I think that the immediate thing that you think about if you're in the technology industry is Evernote, which is on purpose. Let's talk about Everplaces. Asif, what is Everplaces?
Yeah, so, Everplaces is, a new company out of Copenhagen in Denmark, and this is really, it's both an online play as well as a mobile play about saving, the favorite places that you want to visit. And the interesting thing about this is that, people who are on this, who are, sort of like, on Goala or on Foursquare or on these platforms, where you're sort of following people. You're doing things and people follow you and just like they do on Twitter. What's a little bit different about Everplaces is that there's a place and there's people that you're following, but you can choose to follow people only for certain categories of things that you think that they might add value to your life in. So, for example, you can say, I really care about what Rob has to say about food, or I really care about what Rob has to say about, music. And so, I'm going to track the places that Rob's going to eat, or the places that Rob's going to attend concerts. But all that other stuff, that's out there, and other types of places, I don't really trust Rob's opinion for those. And so it's not just tracking the full hose in terms of what Rob's broadcasting in terms of all the places you're going to. It's you can pick and choose the categories of things that you think, Rob is adding value to.
I think it's a neat idea. This is in the wake of what happened with one of our stories, which is going to be Oink. A lot of these companies are popping up, and I guess the real question is, do you think that they have an opportunity? This is a very localized, very small market, very small numbers here. Do you think that there's an opportunity here for these guys to actually succeed where Oink kind of failed?
I think there's an opportunity. One of the things I like about it is that, there were a lot of people. You and I were both big fans of Gowalla, who, is now part of Facebook. Stately Gowalla did some great things. They pivoted along the way to kind of focus on travel and bookmarking places. One of the things that they've announced as part of this Everplaces thing is you can import your Gowalla history as a starting point into this. So is this really a pick up from where Gowalla left off and let's carry it forward and see what happens? I don't know, but there certainly seems to be a bit of that element to it.
Well, I always wonder about these things because we know that you need a big number of people. Mm-hmm. You need a big number of people in order to be able to do this, and there's a lot of these localized groups, and is there going to be a bigger play where all this stuff gets rolled up into one? I don't know. I hope for these services. I really do. And I like the fact that this is a location sharing piece. But what about Foursquare? Foursquare...
Well, you know what this is? This is Google Circles with a location play, right? Because really what we're talking about here is small groups of people. I trust people's opinions about certain things. And you can argue that, we trust what our friends say more than we would trust the general public about, certain topics. And that's really the premise that they're building on here with Everplaces. And so we'll see where that goes. But, hey, at least they're trying. And, we haven't heard a lot coming out of Denmark in this space, or at least I haven't. So let's see where it goes.
All right. So that's Everplaces. Just go to everplaces.com. You will find it there. And let us know what you think. Is this something that can actually stick? Do they battle with Foursquare? Is this a thing that they can actually win? Or are they even trying to? Or are they actually setting themselves up to be purchased by Foursquare or by Facebook or somebody like that, or Google? Who knows? But we do know that a good UI is important. We also know that a lot of people are important. And I think that a company like Oink had 150,000 or 200,000 users, and it didn't move. So, all right, so that's everplaces.com. All right, second story. Number 2. This is a big one. PayPal moving into the payment space, a la Square. Not only did they move into this space, they moved into this space with a triangular-shaped, tongue-in-cheek, triangular-shaped swiper, like Square has its obviously Square, and this goes to your prediction that eBay is going to be the dominant company for 2012. What do you think about this deal, Steve? What do you think about them moving into this?
I think this is fantastic for eBay. I think and for PayPal, obviously. I think. As you just alluded to, I'm on record. PayPal is going to be the company this year that starts to bring it all together in the sort of mobile commerce plus location-based deals, plus all the things that they have with all the acquisitions that they've done. I think this is a good move. I think PayPal's always been known as a service that individuals, small businesses have used to process transactions, and now we're taking it into the physical world of processing transactions through a mobile device with an add-on piece of hardware. Square's done a good job at being first in the market and sort of building this market. And so I think we're going to see more players come into this space. I think PayPal is just one of many, but I think PayPal, has a lot going for them. You have, a company that's processing 100 million users worldwide that use PayPal Mobile. I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah.
And so a lot going on there. And
don't they have?
They're undercutting Square's processing fees. So Square charges 2.75% per transaction. They're going at 2.7, so just slightly lower. Not that that's a huge difference, but I think the fact 100 million users plus transaction fees is slightly lower, it can't be a bad thing.
They also have what do they have? 9 million merchants for PayPal.
Yeah.
So that also has a lot to do with it. And do you think that Square can stave off what these guys are doing? I don't think that there are going to be some merchants that switch over because for that save in the transaction fee. But I do think that I think they're offering a 1% additional reduction in that transaction fee if you are using the debit cards or the PayPal debit cards. But there's some conversation around does PayPal hold on to this? They're it's like your bank account when you go with like an ING Direct or a President's Choice, they hold a certain number of funds, and anything that you submit over that funds, they'll hold for 30 days, and that's what they're doing. And I think that that's a limiting thing here, because I want my money right away, and whereas Square actually deposits right into your bank account. Right.
Yeah, no, there's certainly some advantages to the Square model over PayPal. I mean, the other thing that I should mention is this PayPal, this new feature from PayPal. It's not just the thumb reader piece that you plug in. That's a bit, that's the main part of the announcement here. But the app itself that connects to that piece of hardware also allows you to use the camera on the phone to actually scan cards, through the camera, scan paper checks. So all of that can get processed as well, all through the same app. So it's pretty wide what it covers. The other thing that I saw in the announcement is they've basically said that their digital wallet offering, sort of the Google Wallet competitor or the ISIS competitor from PayPal, will be launched in May. So that's going to be hot on the heels of this as well.
Yeah, that card reader, the scanner, card.io. I had the CEO and the founder on that for an episode of Untitled.tv. It's pretty cool technology.
Yeah.
So what it does is it basically you just take a picture of the card and it's kind of like OCR, and I'm in layman's term, it's like OCR for your credit card numbers, and I think it's very interesting. I just can't help but think that PayPal, there are a lot of PayPal haters out there. But I can't help but think that they look at this and think that this is evergreen. This is something that they can build. This is something that they can own. It's a big market. But what about the credit card companies? Like MasterCard was doing this in Europe. Remember they had the swipe in Europe?
Yep.
What are these guys going to do? When are they going to wake up?
What they're going to do is what we're about to talk about next with Twitter.
Right. Could we have done this any better? Any better? All right. Well, that's a PayPal is introducing a Square competitor, and I would check this out. It's a very interesting play. This is going to it's not just going to be these two guys. And then you've got a company like Amex, who I think we like because they seem to be a scrappy third card, and I like these guys.
They're trying everything in this space, which I love.
They are, and that's the best part of this. And so, what are they trying? Well, this is the cool thing. They are doing automatic coupons through Twitter loyalty. Basically, is that why don't you explain? I'm going to pull it up here.
Yeah, so we've talked on the show in the past about the partnerships between Foursquare and Amex. The idea is that you offline associate your Amex card with your Foursquare account, and so when you go to a merchant that has a Foursquare special, save 20% when you check in on Foursquare at this restaurant, for example. Instead of you having to show your phone, when you're paying your bill at the restaurant and showing that you've checked in on Foursquare, you simply pay with your Amex card, which is already connected to your Foursquare account, and basically the 20% comes off just on swipe of card. And so what they've done is taken that same kind of thinking and applied it to Twitter hashtags. this case. And so this is something that they've been testing at South by Southwest, and so they've been doing it with McDonald's and Whole Foods and Zappos and Best Buy and a bunch of interesting brands. And so the idea here is that when you tweet a certain hashtag like Amex McDonald's, and by the way, so in the first 48 hours from one of the stats I saw that they ran this, Amex saw 2,000 tweets with this Amex McDonald's thing. And so the idea is that if you tweet that hashtag, you get a $5 discount, from McDonald's by paying with your Amex card because it's connected to, already to your Twitter account in this case. Make sense?
Boy, does it ever. And I just threw up there. I'm going to throw it up there right now again. You can see Steve can't, but anybody else who's watching this, and he can see it later on when he's watching the episode.
Yeah.
You can see that there have been 177, this is Visibly is tracking this. There's been 177,000 tweets about this, 206 tweets per hour, 28,900 users, 66 new users per hour. The total spend has been $7.9 million on this campaign. The discounts, $1.6 million in discounts. One of the other statistics that they brought up was the regency of this, how they bring people back into Twitter. One of the biggest criticisms of Twitter is that it is lots of dormant accounts. What are the actual number of users in Twitter? And it says here that 23.6% of the people that are actually involved in this now were dormant accounts that have brought them back into this. 48.5% were existing, and 27.9% are new Twitter accounts. So this helps everybody, it would seem, generate the interest that they're doing. So it brings Amex, the customers. I mean, Amex customers, their customers. It brings Twitter some new customers and some dormant customers, and it shows some value. And obviously, since its launch at the beginning of March, it's done about $1.6 million in savings. Pretty amazing. Right.
It is pretty amazing, and it's. I think we're going to see more of this from other credit card companies. And don't expect Facebook to sit out on something like this as well.
No, I don't think so. Interestingly enough, the number one company in all of this, McDonald's.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? McDonald's.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So that's Twitter and Amex coupons. It's pretty. I think it's a sign of things to come. And it's a really interesting play because everybody criticized Twitter about can they actually make some money, and they can in location. Obviously, they can. Makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and they have a lot of interesting other location data too that isn't directly sort of exposed here, but I'm sure behind the scenes there's a lot of data that they're sharing with Amex on where these people are doing this stuff from.
Well, I'll pull it up again.
What stores they're redeeming from, and a whole bunch of other things. So,
not only that is about the time of day, which is always critical around this. And how do you there's natural ebbs and flows. It seems like at 2 a.m. there's a good pop, but the real question is how do you influence people to go where they're typically not going to these stores? So you don't want. I mean, my guess is that they don't want people who are, typical. Who go to McDonald's all the time to benefit from this all the time. They want to bring in new customers or make them come an additional time or two per week. And that's the key.
Sure.
That's the key. So story number 4, Pulse. This is an application I use all the time. My iPad is right in front of me every morning. It is my newspaper. It is an aggregator of RSS feeds from across the internet. They're partnering with some major content players, and these guys are now going local, which is very cool. Let's talk about that. Not only local, but local coupons too, which makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, great app. 13 million people already use this thing. They're adding 1.5 million a month, so it's growing like crazy. It comes as a default app on the Kindle Fire. About 250 different publishers, push content into this. Bloomberg, Business Week, a whole bunch of great guys. And the play here is they're basically saying, look, yeah, we're growing, but we don't want to sit idle. We want to grow even faster. And so how do we do that? We start to deliver really hyper-local news, community news. And so they've, two big players in the space, AOL with Patch and CBS Local. They've partnered with these guys, and so they're bringing all their local content, for all these little towns and municipalities into the app as well. And I think that just makes sense. And then layered on top of that, they're going to bring the deal space or the local offers piece that you alluded to. So they've partnered with Groupon, they've partnered with Living Social, Guild Group, and a few others. And so not just hyperlocal news, but hyperlocal deals, plus all the rich stuff they've already had in sort of the big brand news as well. So fantastic stuff happening inside the Pulse app.
Well, I told you that I use this, and when they announced that they were going local, I went on to see if there was anything local in my city, and it allows you to upload or search and find local resources. And I thought, what's the impact of something like this on the newspaper industry, my local newspaper industry? Do they participate in this, or do they get out of this? What do you think?
Yeah. I think they better participate. Otherwise, I think they're already losing share like crazy. And I think, here you have a player. I think the interesting thing here is there's got to be a way that they can deliver content through an app like this that creates revenue streams. And so I think they're better to be a player than to sit out and just continue to lose share.
Well, I'm with you on that, and I think that Pulse is doing an exceptional job. I mean, 13 million it sounds like a lot of users, and it really is a lot of users, especially in this space, because you've got big behemoths that aggregate like this, like even something you mentioned a couple of them, but I also lump in like Zeit that was acquired by CNN.
Yep.
I lump in Flipboard, which is raised $50 million. Same kind of thing, content aggregation, and it's a pretty busy space, and I like the local aspect.
Yeah, but the deal piece makes sense too, right? And I think that's where a lot of the media companies who are the newspaper companies also own deal companies. So yeah, push your content into here, but push your deals in here too, because that's where you're going to basically be able to take a piece of the revenue coming back through.
Like I always wonder about this, and I agree with the deals, but what about the guys who are out there who are flipping? I don't know. We're trying to figure out, newspapers are trying to turn their content into revenue. So would they go with a company like, like Pulse? Would they go with a company like Zeit? Would they go with a company like any of these guys? If they're trying to turn their content into revenue. And I always think that content is revenue just by page views. And, if they're monetizing through display ads, God help them if they are. But, how do these guys leverage Pulse? Pulse has got to create some kind of revenue source, I would think, for them to be able to make this really worth their while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know what that is yet. I think the deals are a piece of it, but I'm going to say, I might go on a limb here, and I'm going to say that I think content is still really important, and good content. People used to say content is king, and I don't think it's king anymore by itself. I think that what we're moving to right now, and when you think about location in particular, it's really about experiential content. How do we bring the content to people, and how are people engaging with that content? The creation of the content, the quality of the content is really important. But I think, in order to start to figure out how we make money, we have to think about how are people experiencing, how are people engaging with that content, and that's why I think when you think about things like augmented reality and all this other stuff, it's about the experience as much as it is about the content.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I like the idea of highly hyper local. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to show these guys how to do it, and why not an app that I use every day, and I love it. I wonder what the impact is going to have on companies that have built their own apps. National chains across the U.S. and Canada that have built their own apps that are now being pulled. That content's being pulled into something like Pulse. It's yet to be seen. Interesting. Cool. So cool. All right. This was all a lead up for this. I think that arguably, could it be the biggest story of the week? Could it be? I don't know.
I think it's definitely one of them. Kevin Rose is a guy who, everybody loves him, and he's done a lot of great things, and we'll see where this goes. I mean, why don't you introduce this one?
Sure. Well, So we all know who Kevin Rose is. He's the founder of Dig. He's also the founder of a company called Milk Inc. Big kerfuffle about a year ago when he actually launched this. He launched Milk to raised about $1.8 million in angel investors. He is a big guy in the Valley, a big brand, a good name, and spun out and decided to make applications. So his first app was something called Oink, which is basically where you rate absolutely everything or anything around you. It could be the chair you're sitting on, the desk you're sitting at, the food you're eating, the cup that you're drinking out of, the beer that you're drinking, the tea that you're drinking, or the sushi that you're eating. And this,
Right.
launched to some pretty big fanfare. It launched in Kevin Rose style, and he built a small team around him around this technology. Probably had about, 150,000 people, Asif? Is that about right?
Yeah, I heard 150 to 200, so yeah, it might be up that high.
So he launched it, and then almost suddenly this week said, Oink closed. We're shutting it down. You got 2 weeks to get your data out. It's okay because we have this great transition, which is, I love the fact that they've done this. They've helped you get your data out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And within minutes of that, rumors started flying around. And I think it was on, some of these technology blogs broke it first. And obviously that Rose is going to Google. Rose is going to Google. And then, lo and behold, as you see on the screen right now, March 16th, confirmed. He says he's beyond excited that the Milk crew, the entire crew, is joining Google. And, they went on to say, I loved it because I use Google products all the time, and we're so happy. And then, of course, this afternoon, he actually posted another Google Plus post saying that he's starting work tomorrow at Google. He's excited because he gets to switch over to Android. So that's the backstory. And so now he's just shut it down. And I guess the biggest thing is that this is a deal that is rumored to be worth $15 to $30 million. So how can you not say that this is an hire, Asif?
Yeah, I mean, this is all about talent. This is this is Google basically saying, look, we need guys like Rose and his team who get it, who have the pedigree, who understand social. One of the rumors is that he's going to go and head up Google Plus now. And actually make that into something. And that will remain to be seen. But, this is an all-out acquisition of talent. It's not unlike Facebook and Gowalla.
No.
In some respects.
No, this is exactly like that. In fact, except it's high
It's
priced.
bigger.
Yeah. It's way bigger. It's way bigger. And it's an interesting play. It's a very interesting play. Oink, we've talked about Oink as a product. There's no market for this thing. We knew that. But I got to say here that on one hand, I'm thinking, you know what? Good on Kevin. That's what I thought. It was almost immediately. I thought, good on Kevin for deciding that, listen, this isn't working out. We're not getting the traction that we want. Rather than let this thing go on, we're going to actually just old shep it. We're going to take it out in the back and shoot this thing before it decides, before people get attached to it, and he can't figure out a way to make money. And I appreciate this. And we actually did an episode. We have a show called Where's the Money? Oink was our first show because it was just so obvious. And so I thought, way to go, Kevin. That's great of you. And then the next day, I heard about he's shutting Milk down and moving over to Google. And I thought, how disingenuous. And what I mean by that is very clearly, he knew this was happening. How can you build now a product anytime with Kevin Rose that you'll have faith that will be around in a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 months or a year? I think that what he did on the right side, which was shut down Oink, but it leaves me feeling a little bit icky. Good for him, because it was probably a big acquisition. 15 to 30 million means each one of these guys net a couple of $1 million in their pockets. I don't think he needs some money, but it just shows that his heart wasn't into it. The commitment to the product and the company weren't into it. And you know what? Quite frankly, if I was an active user of Oink, I'd be pretty pissed about this whole thing. So I don't know. I'm mixed of this, and that's my rant. But good for Google, I suppose.
Yeah.
Good for Google.
It is good for Google. I think this is a great move for Google. I applaud the fact that he actually shut it down and gave people a chance to move their data out. But yeah, I'm sort of with you on the can we trust Kevin Rose to go and build something? Again, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, good for Kevin Rose and for his team, because they've all come out well. Moving on.
They've made some millions. All right, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Nice segue. Maybe it's just spite and jealousy. Maybe that's what you think. Maybe that's what. Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. So that was it. Our top 5 stories. We had Everplaces. We had PayPal taking on Square. We had Twitter with Amex coupons. We had Pulse going local news, local coupons, and then of course Kevin Rose shutting down Oink, shutting down Milk, and selling out to Google. And he's going to go in there and save Google Plus, and that's going to be a big task. Maybe that's what it is. 5 stories. If you got any better, reach out. untethered@gmail.com or asif@thelbma.com. We'd love to hear from you about those stories. If you have any insight or feedback, if you think we're wrong, you think we're right, let us know. Please. Please, please, please let us know. Now it's time for the product of the week. I'm going to get like an interstitial graphic for that, like a product for the week. But for now, that's what that is. Let's talk about this company. This is a company called WirelessWerx.
Yeah, so I had the great opportunity to sit down with Patrick Blattner. Patrick is the Chief Product Officer for WirelessWerx, and we sat down earlier today, actually, and talked a lot about what they're doing and indoor location and sort of the value of that to the industry and to merchants and retailers in the space. So why don't we get right into it and hear what Patrick had to say?
All right, here's Patrick and Asif talking about WirelessWerx.
Well, it's fantastic. Yet again, we get to sit down with one of our members of the LBMA. And today I'm privileged to be with Patrick Blattner, Chief Product Officer of WirelessWerx. Patrick, welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
Steve, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so why don't we jump right into it? Why don't you tell our audience, who is WirelessWerx? What are you guys all about?
Well, WirelessWerx was actually a company founded 10 plus years ago. We were founded in GPS global positioning. We actually tracked physical trucks going through locations in South America many, many years ago. That transitioned over to kind of public safety 911 space about 5 years ago, and that's when we switched kind of our technology to Bluetooth and understanding and tracking Bluetooth devices. The reason we did that was if you think about all of the handsets out on the market today, and I think what's the number that you have, Asif? Is it about 237 million in the United States?
Yeah, it's over 230 million. That's right.
Yeah. And so of those, now we see about 101 million of those actual smartphones. So when you look at Bluetooth across the whole spectrum of devices in the United States, and we were in the public safety sector, we had to cover the majority of the of handsets in the market. And of course, at that time, smartphones weren't even relevant. But as time has gone on and smartphones started to come into play, we still cover now 99% of all devices in the marketplace today. So as time has gone on and we started to talk to retail, and as you frame this up and understand pure opportunity in brick and the challenges that they're facing, we started to find that in traditional understanding of consumer behavior in stores, there are camera companies, for example, that track consumers walking into the physical front door, and you understand products that are being purchased through POS. But if you're looking at a 50,000 square foot store, you see that there's about 48,000 square feet there that there really is no understanding of what's going on. So when we looked at the new opportunity of how to take our technology and parlay it into the future and how it cuts across, grocers, convenience, mass market or mass merchant, we started to see that using our physical nodes, we have these little Bluetooth sensors, if you will, that you can put in different locations within physical brick and mortar. We saw that there was a pure opportunity to understand that other 48,000 square feet and what consumers are doing.
Great.
Now, it's go ahead.
No. So I was going to say, so maybe just to sort of encapsulate what you're saying there. what we're talking about here, I mean, what WirelessWerx really is a company that understands the inside of a retail space and what's happening in terms of where people are going, the foot traffic, the patterns, and analyzing that and providing real data and analytics to those merchants, to those the owner operators of those retail spaces in terms of understanding how they can go about better designing displays and planogramming and charging for real estate and things like that. Is that fair?
That's fair, exactly right. And the way that we think about it is we think about taking a traditional online network operations center where you can do real-time traffic, bringing that to retail. And where we're going with this is that if you think in terms of putting the power in the store manager's hands, district manager, regional manager to the corporate environment, we actually have an interface and dashboard where at every level of the business, they can see the heartbeat of their company and make split decisions based on consumer pathing at that point in time within the company and stores.
Fantastic. So let me just kind of put this in context for our audience in a slightly different way. A lot of the solutions that we hear about today that get a lot of the buzz and sort of the consumer brand stuff that we hear about, like Facebook Places and Foursquare and all this other stuff. I would say most of that is focused on driving traffic to a retailer or to a merchant, in terms of increasing the footfall, to use retail terminology. But what you're talking about is okay, people are already in the store now. How do we understand who they are and what they're doing while they're in the store? So is there a role for both, would you argue? I mean, do you need, as a retailer, do you need a Foursquare to drive traffic to the store and something inside the store to kind of better analyze what's happening?
I think, traditional brick and mortar is in a very interesting time right now, and I think it's important to do both. Yeah. One of the things when you think about traditional apps, though, you have number one, you're dealing with a smartphone market, so they only are available in smartphones as opposed to feature phones. We sample set, just so I am clear on this, is we sample set only Bluetooth-enabled devices. So as you pair your device with your vehicle, for example, Bluetooth is on. That's how we sample consumers' behavior, trafficking through environments. But I think traditional retail has to push traffic with promotions and things of that nature into the store. They also use gamification to drive consumers and go ahead and scan apps and get into certain locations to help fill basket size. However, what that doesn't get to, it doesn't get to traditional understanding of consumer behavior and what their natural behavior patterns are. And I think that's where we really start on, and we have capabilities to understand first location that a consumer goes within a store and how this really translates into importance. And we're sitting as we're going through some pilots right now. If you take, for example, a traditional grocery store, we have the ability to understand from entry to, let's say, produce to frozen foods to POS to exit. We can say that of all of the traffic going through, or all of the sample traffic going through your brochure, 30% of your repeat business is actually going through these channels in these steps within your store per week, and it'll help them optimize not only the layout but also put in promotional upsell, cross-sell opportunities in front of those repeat customers as we understand repeat behavior as well. But to encapsulate that as yes, there is room for both, and I think there's a need for both because retailers are really measured on revenue per square foot on a quarterly basis. And to do that, you have to deploy bigger basket sizes and optimize your store and your advertising dollars.
That's fantastic. So they got to be doing both. They got to be doing a little bit of push and driving traffic too. They got to have better analytics, understanding what's going on in their stores, and you guys can help them with things like that. You're focused on Bluetooth. What's next? Maybe if you were to project 12 months into the future and kind of look at the indoor location space. If you want to, you can talk about a specific thing that you guys are doing, but just generally, what's happening in the industry and kind of, what's coming 12 months down the pipe.
Well, in our space right now, what's happening is you have a number of different technologies that are being deployed in this space. From competitors over in Europe to some here when you talk about Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, you can do a lot of things with both. However, the actual ease of integration, the barrier to entry, the capability, and let me just give you an example of ours. So we've deployed in a number of stores in a top 10 retailer over the course of the last couple of weeks. And if you take a store of around, let's say, 1,200 square feet, and we have 20 zones within each of those stores, we can set that up within 3 hours. Now, when we look at a traditional Wi-Fi solution, number one, you have differences in being able to understand close proximity of where that consumer is. However, if you really spend a lot of time in setup, you can get closer proximity to that consumer. But I think there's this back and forth on what's the right technology to use as brick and mortars and retailers are trying to understand that. So there's an education process. Once that education process starts to take off, and I think what you're going to see is one or two of these companies, such as ours or one or the other, may start to make some headway with press release. The education will increase, and then if there is if they start to see optimization of 0.5% to 1% based on this technology being within stores, and you're looking at a $50 billion business, you're talking about $1 billion in optimization.
Right.
So it just takes that one company to take a chance and use one of these technologies, and then I think you're going to see a number of others fast follow on.
That's great. Thank you. And hopefully, I think part of the role of the LBMA, the Location-Based Marketing Association, is to help educate. We have a lot of retailers who are members, and to help get them comfortable with what are the different types of technologies available in this space, and help to fill some of that gap in the education that you're talking about. So, anyhow, we really appreciate your time. And again, for our audience, we've been sitting down today with Patrick Blattner, Chief Product Officer of WirelessWerx, based out of Anaheim area. So, Patrick, thanks for your time. I really appreciate you being on the show, and look forward to chatting with you again sometime.
All right, Steve. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Cheers.
And that is Patrick Blattner, the Chief Product Officer for WirelessWerx. Asif, great spot. I love when we bring guests in like this that just give a little bit more insight.
Yeah, it's fun. And this week, if all goes well, hopefully we'll be talking about augmented reality coming up. So interesting stuff. It's good too when we get to cover all sort of different aspects of the industry. So yeah.
I love it. That's why I do these things. That's why we do these things. So that was it. Product of the week, WirelessWerx. Go to wirelesswerx.com. That's wireless with a WERX.com, and check out Patrick's company. Really appreciate him coming on. Thank you, Patrick, for being a part of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. All right, on to the funding, man. On to the funding, and we should call this funding and M&A. Lots of acquisitions happening this year. Lots of funding happening this year. We're going to jump right into this. This company called 500 Friends. I was going to say, I wish I should have come up with the number of pennies, or they raised $5.9 million. I don't have anything witty to say. So talk about 500 Friends, Asif. I don't have that many.
500 Friends is a company that basically does social technology for e-commerce, is how they describe it. So mostly an e-commerce play. And raised a bunch of money this week, as you indicated, from Crosslink Capital and Intel Capital as well. So there's a lot of players in this industry: Bunchball, Badgeville, a lot of guys I see at a lot of location conferences that I go to, actually. And it's 500 Friends. What I like about this is that this is about rewarding people and creating loyalty in an e-commerce framework, whether that's pure online or through mobile e-commerce. But it's all about the loyalty piece, and it's all about rewards. And so, interesting things going on here. And, there's some sharing and some Twitter pieces with Facebook as well. So, but again, this is, capital from some big guys, Intel and Crosslink, $5.9 million, and all about generating more loyalty. And I can't talk enough about loyalty. I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's we can't just drive traffic. We got to actually build an ongoing customer base for a lot of these sites, whether it's physical retail or e-commerce.
So, I mean, what do you think that they're going to be doing with this money, Asif? Did they give any indication about what they're going to be doing with it?
I didn't see anything other than the usual. We're going to be expanding the team and adding some new features and functionality, but nothing specific.
All right. Well, $5.9 million is nothing to frown upon. We would take 1/59th of that as a sponsor for this week in location-based marketing. Anybody out there, please let us know. We are open. We're open to taking money, lots of money from lots of people. We're okay with that. Yes. So 500 Friends raises $5.9 million. Second story. Here's an interesting play. AOL walks in, buys Hipster. Apparently, this whole photo sharing thing is hot.
Well, I don't know how hot it is. I think a lot of the guys who've been in this space who tried to be big in this space have already failed or exited, and those that are still there are being acquired by the big guys. And I'm not surprising. And it surprised a little bit that it's AOL in some respects, but Hipster's one of the big or sort of one of the better known or branded ones out there, iOS and Android. I didn't see any numbers on this. I don't know if you did, Rob, in terms of the size of the deal, but it was an interesting play because this was all about taking photos and turning them into postcards. So yeah, good for AOL.
Yeah, and it sounds a lot like Sincerely, the folks who made Postagram, and now kind of moved over into the whole Facebook space as well for Facebook photos. And I think that's. I mean, it's interesting. All these companies, built with as a feature of somebody else's larger product. Interesting that it's AOL, but AOL has bought. Look at what they've bought in terms of blogs and content, and This is only natural.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I thought was interesting in the announcement when I read the details around this is that the team that's coming over, the Hipster team that's coming over, is they're going to be continuing on with Hipster, they say. As part of AOL, but they're also going to be spending time on Patch and some of the other AOL products. So it's not they're not staying completely Hipster. They're basically, again, talent acquisition and applying some of this talent to other parts of the AOL product ecosystem. So kind of cool.
Well, it's these companies are now getting so big again, and with so much power and so much concentrated power and so much media power that AOL, remember the whole AOL Time Warner thing happened? They got big, they merged, and they broke up, and now AOL's on this acquisition spree where they're taking up all these companies. And I think that's got to play heavily is how nimble can a company like AOL really, really be these days? And can they hold on to their employees and do all those things that they need to compete in this space when they acquire something like Hipster, right? I think it's an interesting play. So AOL acquires Hipster. No, we don't know what the terms are yet. If you know them, just leave a comment wherever you find this, please. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, please.
All right, the last deal here. Boku. This is Boku Bucks. Yeah, I had to do it.
I knew you were going to go there.
All right, so I got a video here that we're going to flip over to, and we're going to play the. For those of you who don't know what Boku is, here's a 1-minute video of how Boku describes itself. Okay, we're just going to flip over there right now.
Cash is great. I certainly enjoy it, but cash is also a little dim. It doesn't remember where it's been spent. It doesn't know where the good deals are. But what if you had something that's as fast and easy as cash, but much smarter? And what if it was in something you already carry around with you wherever you go? This is a new way to pay, and it lives in your mobile phone. When you walk into one of your favorite shops, it'll chime in. It's quite smart. It knows when you have a special offer, and it knows when you want to use it. So merchants can give you a great reason to buy and a great reason to keep coming back. Redeeming an offer and making a payment couldn't be simpler. You get instant insight that cash and debit cards can't give you, so you save money and spend wisely, and it's brought to you by your mobile provider. But this isn't just smarter for consumers, it's smarter for mobile network operators. You'll be giving your subscribers the power to make mobile purchases at any merchant who accepts payment cards anywhere in the world, with a turnkey solution that's built to scale through a partner you know, all at no cost to you. Smarter phone, smarter payments. Boku accounts.
So that's Boku. Basically, what every other company in the payment industry is doing. And it's a battle, isn't it, right now? These guys just raised $35 million to compete from Telefonica, which is an interesting play.
Yeah, it's actually Telefonica and a group called Enterprise Associates. So $35 million. Yeah, I mean, tons going on in the mobile payments space. We talked about Square. We talked about PayPal earlier. The interesting thing here is Boku's a company that's been around for a little while, a few years now. Apparently, they have 250 mobile network operators that are already working with them, and they operate in like 67 countries. So these guys aren't just a little guy operating in one part of the world. They're all over the place, and they're doing a lot of things. So 35 million, good fuel coming into the tank there. Telefonica's also signed as part of this. It's not just money. They've signed a distribution agreement, so they're actually using the product as well. So there you go.
Well, I can't think of. Well, I can. There's 3, 4, 5 companies that are vying for this space, and I'm just wondering how much of this, this whole mobile payment space, where you've got PayPal and you've got Square, and then you've got these guys, Boku, and you've got Bango, and you've got all of these massive companies that are trying to build in this space, and then you got the credit card companies, and you got oh my God, and you got Facebook. There is a collision about to happen in this space of insane proportions, and it's about to happen. It's got to happen soon. Where there's just going to be fallout everywhere. I think. Well,
I think you're going to see some of these. Even despite the size of some of these companies, I think we're going to see some serious acquisitions start to happen. I mean, there's a lot of guys sitting out there right now with a gazillion of dollars of cash on the balance sheet, right? That are waiting to do some things. I'm thinking of this company that just put out a new iPad the other day. They got to be doing something.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Anyhow, there's going to be consolidation for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's close out on that. So Boku raises $35 million from Telefonica. This is a big space that's about to. I think that there's actually an announcement sometime this week. Maybe by the time you've watched this, there was the announcement that Apple is talking about what they're going to do with what I think is a war chest. Like probably after this past weekend, somewhere in the realm of about $100 billion sitting in the bank, which is just crazy amount of money. Speaking of which, did you happen to pick yours up there, Asif? Oh wow, really? Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I'm the guy. I always go, second generation, fourth generation. I always skip one.
So you have one. You have the iPad 2.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I don't.
I have 2 of them actually.
You do.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, I have jumped over here. I'm now an iPad 3 owner. And I love it. I can't tell you how great this thing is. It's saved me. It's faster. The screen is great. Anyways, what everybody's saying. I think the best thing that I saw was Chris Sacca, who is not a local, but an angel investor and an entrepreneur, said that he was sitting in a cafe, pulled out his iPad, what they're calling the iPad 3, and literally. People saw it, got up, walked out, and went to the Apple store to buy it. 2 people, he said, in succession. So I think that's the power of this device. Anyway, so all right, 500 Friends closes 5.9 million. AOL acquires Hipster, and Boku raises 35 million from Telefonica. Those are the deals of the week. Last thing to get through before we put this show to rest is our resource of the week. Asif, why don't you roll with that right now?
Yeah, so this is from eMarketer, and we often go to eMarketer for the resource because they have such great articles and data that they put out. And so this one's entitled "What Siri Means for the Future of Mobile Shopping." And I pulled this one out because so much of what we talk about on this show, location, is bills and shopping and retail, the impact on merchants and transactions and mobile commerce and all of that. But we don't often we have talked about Siri, obviously, on this, and we've talked about EV and some of the other voice technologies. But what does it actually mean for shopping? And so some great new data out that you'll see in this piece here. This is from the Catapult Shopper Lab, just done last month, actually, February. And so it looks at the ways U.S. consumers are using or have thought about using Siri for shopping. So things like, are you using it to look for coupons or deals, from a voice perspective? Are you comparing prices? And some fantastic data in here. So take a look at this. It's an interesting resource.
Yeah, I often think about what the impact of Siri is going to be. We're looking at what the impact of Siri is going to be on search right now, because it's going to replace the necessity to type something in like a la Google, and it's just going to give you results. You don't care if it's Google or what. And it's also going to have an impact on their advertising dollars, because it's just going to display results, and it's going to be owned by Apple. I think that this has a far greater impact when you start to think about how this is going to assist you in everything. It's like I'll be driving in my car, and based on some algorithm or some analytics, it'll say, Rob, the Starbucks that you normally go to, the lineup is 19 minutes for a latte. Go to this one instead. And when you get that kind of AI and that kind of ability built in, you're not even looking for it. It's nuance shifts in the way that we do things. So instead of going to the one over here, I'm going to go to the one over there. They've lost my business. Siri's made a better friend out of me. Just an example. But that's the kind of stuff that we're getting into with this whole big data and small crunching for the small screen. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait. So exciting. So.
No, I love it, and I completely agree. I think voice navigation, voice query, voice search, voice comparison shopping, all this stuff. I mean, it just has to go that way. I mean, it's just, especially in today's culture where we're always on the move, we're driving, we got hands-free laws, we got all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. So anyhow, take a look at that. What Siri means for the future of mobile shopping. eMarketer report, data from Catapult.
It's right up there.
Shopper
So
Lab.
the link is right above this video if you're watching it on tether.tv. If not, you're going to have to do a Google search for what Siri means for the future of mobile shopping. That's it. Asif, episode number 69.
We're
My
done.
apologies. It seems like we're under constraint for some reason, bandwidth constraints. Don't know what it is, but my apologies. We'll hopefully fix that for next week. And as you can see, we're modifying the way that we're doing this show. I'm trying to edit it live. I don't know if you can notice that. I try to be very coy when I look down like this, and I try to hit a button. But we're working out the kinks, and I'd love some feedback. I think both of us would, about the new format of the show, whether it's actually working for you or not. You want us to go back to the old format, which, by the way, took me 90 minutes to edit. I'm trying to cut down on the editing so we can get this up more timely. So love your feedback on this. Please, please, please reach out, untether@gmail.com. And of course, if you like this show, if you hate this show, reach out to us. Actually, send that to Asif at the LBMA. Hate mail goes to him. Compliments, exactly. Come on.
Love mail goes to Rob. That's right.
We do this each and every week. We appreciate you guys coming each and every week to come and listen to what's going on in this industry. We would love some feedback. We're getting some great feedback. Numbers are way up. We really appreciate it. Every week is our best week. We love the fact that this happens. We're right here at the best spot.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
We are 69
right,
episodes
thanks.
in. We will be back next week for episode number 70. Thank you guys for watching. Asif, always a pleasure, man. I love doing this with you, man. We'll see you next week on This Week in Location Based.
Thanks, Rob.